I guess we're back. Our alien species has returned. The Trekyards aliens.
The Canadian species and the English species. You're a long lost
Yes,
descendant. You fled into the Delta region of the Americas and you formed your own transwarp airlines, and now you have come home to roost on the internets of Slipstream.
exactly. And we've got all of our audience out there, the Trekyardians. Who knows where they're from? They're from like everywhere. It's our
Okay.
Trekyardian Federation of people. Hi guys.
The
We're
analogies
back.
analogies were thin on the ground from the start, and they're still thin on the ground now. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Hi, Stuart. Happy Monday.
It's Happy Monday. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Welcome back, guys. Today we're talking about alien species or factions, perhaps, that are we'd like to see return in some major form. Yeah, some of them might have made little cameo appearances or whatever in either Lower Decks or whatever, but we're going to talk today about the top 10 we'd like to see come back and learn more about. So, yeah.
Yes, because it's we've had a few races like the Romulans have a larger oomph in modern Trek in Picard than the Packwards and Lower Decks. And there's a pantheon of races that deserve more time on screen. And certainly when I pitched this, I was definitely thinking, yeah, maybe if Lower Deck shows them once as a tiny little graphic, well, it doesn't mean they're back. It just means they're referenced. I feel that's not enough. It would take out so many great choices from this list potentially. So I wanted to kind of make it, yes, races that we would like to see return in a meaningful way. And there's definitely a few of these that there might be some arguments in terms of like how much, like dare I add one in that I can't remember if I've put already because I did this a few hours ago. The Breen, we always say we want more Breen. They literally just reappeared like 5 weeks ago, but that was minimal, but it was there. It's like something like that. Does that count, or is it more of a teasing of more? So there's a few of those things that might come up in this. And I sent you a whole brief of pictures, and there's a few controversial ones of like that's such a subset of the vibe, but I think justifiable in how we want them back. So it's a really interesting topic and more complicated than I thought when I pitched it. What do
Well,
you think when I pitched it to you?
it was a great idea, and I expected like a more of a comprehensive like list than what you sent me, but I added some of my own. So, because there was a few that immediately popped into my head when you said it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, ooh, I'd like to learn more about them. But yeah, I had to add those myself. So they probably won't be on your list. So it'll be a pretty good discussion. A lot of times when we have the same ones, we know we're going to be each talking about it at some point.
Yeah.
So we don't really say much. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes for sure.
On that note, I'm going to disappear and share.
Go share. Hit like, everybody, if you haven't already. There's 23 of you here with 12 likes, guys. Hit that like button. Let's get the likes flowing. Let the likes flow through us. Something. Join the channel if you're able to. There's a join button down there. Check out your options to help us on a monthly basis that way, or head on over to Patreon/Trekyards. That's another monthly way to support the channel. We really appreciate all the help you guys can give us, including clicking the links down below for Teespring and TeePublic. We got some really great Trekyards shirts. Sales of those have kind of dwindled a little bit. We need to come up with some new designs, but if you haven't checked those out or have kind of been deciding whether you want to or not, or if you didn't even know we did them, go check the links. Just take a look at the stuff we have to offer. We got some really good original art there. So if you guys want some really cool shirts and some great art, that's a great place to go. Or you can get mugs, you can get whatever. You can get anything on anything pretty much with those two. So go check those out as well. Also, don't forget to share the videos around and talk about Trekyards with all of your Star Trek fans. Or friends that are fans is what I meant to say, because if you're a fan of Star Trek, I mean, Trekyards, sure, you might not want to watch every video we do, but definitely some there that will grab somebody's interest. So just spread the Trekyards word. Tell them all about the Trekyardian race or species, because we are awesome and you are too. So jump right in back into this and see where we go. There should be some interesting discussion points here for sure, and lots of aliens, of course, in Star Trek. Be interesting to see where these kind of fall on this list. So yeah, it'd be fun to talk about.
I'm back.
He's back.
Hi, it's Jim. So how was this list in terms of construction? Did you run out of thing to think about, or were there an obvious batch boom? Here's a set you want.
There was, like I said, when you first mentioned it, like 3 or 4 popped in my head immediately that I would like to see more of, and then I had to, go through a list of them. Plus, I've got the Worlds of the Federation book here, which helped a lot. So, yeah, even ones that we don't know much about, a little bit about because of this book. Laura Johnson did this book back in the day, and she went by Shane Johnson. And it's a fantastic book. So lots that we can learn. And I'm sure a lot of these species have been covered in beta canon. Like I'm sure there's books that focus on some of the aspects of their culture. We don't necessarily know all that stuff. So if you guys know anything of what we're talking about can help up the discussion, let us know. So drop those super chats in if you're able to as well.
Yeah, and for me, this was definitely an interesting one because I there's obviously a few that are interesting, and the further back you go, like TOS had lots of sort of aliens. Like one I thought, should I be interesting to have a curveball, be the aliens that have the black and white and black faces. But then when I consider that, it's like, but they're just humanoid people. I don't know if they have anything interesting to say beyond...
There's only 2 of them left, by the way, so they died out.
I mean, you could time travel.
Sure.
It's just the concept of the species. So that's a problem in a sense. But then you have other shows, Enterprise, Voyager, DS9, where they obviously could focus on makeup, VFX more to generate more interesting species, a la 8472, which I'm sure will be on your list. I'm sure it'll be on mine. There's just so much you can pull from that concept. But then, like Salt Vampire, which I thought was an obvious TOS potential, like, well, there's so much... Ooh, actually, maybe, from that. So it is a very... it depends what you're looking for, obviously, and depends... Because I've had about 35, 40 by the end. I just sort of said, okay, these are the 40 that I found. What can I pick? And I have got 3 honorable mentions, because I think this one actually deserves quite a few of those. Because I think there's actually some reasonable... Oh, if only. And I have... Do you have any honorable mentions, Stuart?
Do I have any?
Yeah.
Let's see. I got like one for sure.
So I can jump on.
On mine.
Didn't
really focus on them too much. So
yeah, it's fine. So let's do honorable mentions first, Stuart, because I think it's worth throwing out the ones that I would like to see, but not 10 much. So my number 13 is, and if you haven't got any, I'll just run through mine. The Hierarchy race from Voyager. Like the makeup, like the vibe, like the ships, like the potential. We've seen them minimally, but still enough to give them a sense of, and certainly just seeing those guys back in full form doing interesting things, as long as they're given good stuff, could be fun and interesting. And, you can obviously put, if this is in the future of where we were in Trek, you can push tech even further and create some fun things from them. So that's my first honorable mention, Stuart.
They look like the species from from Doctor Who, the potato people.
Sontarans.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that would be a good one for sure. Yeah, not on my list, but yeah, cool.
My second honorable mention is, and this is me being cheeky, TOS Klingons.
Yeah.
Smoothheads, classic, because they have been fully canon confirmed in DS9 and Enterprise that there is no these aren't real, this is they're a cause and an effect. So to ignore them is a shame, and I would like to see a colony of TOS Klingons appear or something, or time travel, and they're wearing the similar costumes but modernized, maybe same makeup vibe, but they're different nuance of characterization now, or a different sort of breed of Klingons, literally and figuratively. And I think even though it is a bit of a silly thing to say, obviously throw Discovery Klingons out to dry, but maybe in 5 years bring them back as a little fun reference thing. But just the idea of bringing these more civilized, as it were, Klingons, more classic, just you could make a different vibe for them. And I'd like to see a colony where, a Federation starship warps in, they can't tell who they are because the readings are scrambled, they come down and it's like, are these humans? What are these people? Oh, wait, Klingons, really? And they're just a whole new culture. You can always do what Picard season 2 did and do like a splinter cell of the Borg, do a splinter cell of Klingons, TOS looking Klingons, as an entire fifth brand of Klingons. There's something to that. I'd like to see them come back. Thoughts?
Totally agree with you. We've talked about this many times about the Klingons and the different kinds of Klingons, and I think that's fantastic. The lost colony kind of idea. Ones that kind of rejected the return back to the crane, the cranial ridges.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of the options for that, either genetically altering them back, or even cosmetically, like prosthetically changing them back to like the ridge-headed Klingons. But some of them maybe didn't want to do that, so. Or their ship crashed and they just didn't have the means, and they created their own colony, their own culture around their Klingonness. It'd be interesting to see how that developed for sure.
So I just see a lot of potential there. And my last one to mention is the Schism aliens, which I think are one of those truly frightening TNG races. We barely got to see, think, or know anything, but what they did left a mark on, I think, lots of TNG people. I don't know how the hell you would progress them in any form. You kind of have to gentle reboot them and say, right, this is what we know. Let's just take this and then develop all this, because there's nothing to go from, really. But conceptually, there's a lot of just vibe here that they could just pull in from. So I think those would be really fun to bring back. And certainly villains. I mean, those noises, I think as a villain would be fun. Yeah,
fun thing, they are on my list, so we'll be talking about them at some point soon. I'd say my one definite honorable mention would be the Hirogen. The Hirogen we kind of learned quite a bit about in Voyager, but for them to come back in some bigger way would be interesting. I think we did learn quite a bit about them, and we kind of know what's going on with them. They're basically just Predator. But yeah, I think them coming back would be kind of a nice little touch. So.
Yeah, and also not including Star Trek Online, Matt, because they did everything everywhere all the time.
Yeah, and I'll read Matt's. Matt throws in $10. I would love to see an episode where someone truly tested the Zakdorn and proved that they are either the strategists they claim to be, or proof that it was all a sham reputation. Hey, the Zakdorns would be good.
That's a good shout.
Yeah, that's very good.
That's weird yet fun. Yeah, because there are so many one-offs. It's just obviously the ones that really stand out to you personally versus just. Forehead of the. It's like I almost tempted to put what's it called, Bajorans in here, because we really don't see Bajorans much nowadays. It's like, do I really want to see Bajorans? I don't know.
Oh, we get too much fucking Bajorans as it is in DS9, so.
Which was the other part of the equation, yes. So Stuart, I give honorables. So what is your number 10?
My number 10 is the Schism aliens.
Well, shit.
Perfect. We're on the picture already. These were terrifying, and we never really found out their intentions, nor what they were capable of, being interdimensional. It was kind of like an episode of the X-Files, honestly. Plus, their look was so fantastic, and that memorable click, 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 click. We don't know what they're capable of, and I would really like to see them come back and be an actual threat, because just like Species 8472 that come from fluidic space, these ones are, like I said, another dimension. We don't know anything about them, but they obviously have a lot of, technological advancement, and they obviously have a goal in mind. And we don't know how often they've infiltrated our dimension and what for. So I think fleshing all that out, these guys could be absolutely terrifying. Plus, the look of these guys is amazing, and it's a shame it wasn't used more, because just looking at this picture, they're just incredibly terrifying to look at. So I think they would make a good villain coming back, and it'd be hard to kind of fight them if, with the interdimensionality of it. So yeah, I think they warrant a return at some point in some way, for sure. Give more answers. I want answers from that episode, because it was a legitimately terrifying episode, and one that is quite memorable, especially for the holodeck stuff. So yeah, there you go. That's my spiel on them.
Well, and not just that, but the fact that they ripped through the Enterprise's defenses to capture people. And you could argue at the time that the most advanced ship in the fleet, give or take, that's a hell of a technology to go through. You can imagine them going into Earth space dock, into Earth itself. Yeah, maybe
or phase shifting the warp core of a starship. Also, in the warp core reading circle and off, and it's just because they're pulling the warp core into their dimension. That would be terrifying. Also, like you don't know what's happening or how to stop it. So, yeah, lots of potential for them.
And Deborah is the first alien I wish I thought of, the Shellyak. I'll throw them as an honorable mention because you know so little about them, and it'd be hard to kind of bring them back because they just wouldn't do much. But honorable mention, yes, bring back Shellyak in general because they're fun.
With the Hussuk. The Hussuk would be great, but they've got all blinked out of existence. So
again, time travel, you know, primeval Hussuk. Yes, nice one. Yeah, good choice, Joe. Glad I put it there because this is definitely one of those ones that's like, and unlike. I personally don't like very much the entire two-part of Data in the Past, but the aliens with the snake thing, like those didn't work for me particularly. These are a similar sort of vibe in terms of like alternate invention, pull people in. These work 5,000 times better to me. So,
yes, I agree.
My number 10, Stuart, is in fact the Breen. I did throw them in there, even though we just seen them, and I knew it was on my list, but I didn't realize it was number 10. So the Breen, we did just see them. Yes, I know. But of all the
the Breen were supposed to be on my list, and I forgot all about them.
Excellent.
So yeah, they'll be on that somewhere.
Well, you didn't turn your back on the Breen. You didn't even get in the same room as them. So I didn't. Breen, no. I mean, yes, of course, they're the bloody Star Wars creature, alien head
boss.
Yeah, fine, whatever. It's fine. No, they were shockingly well developed for the minimal time we had. You can do so much with them without doing anything with them. And even bringing them back from one appearance led so much oomph to their appearance. I would like to see, honestly, you know, a full sub-arc. We have to go into Breen space, negotiate with them. They've turned against the crew that goes with them. We see Breen specialist weapons and transporters and stuff. You know, just there's such a interesting possible race. Now, I don't want to see what's underneath the mask, because that's part of the ambiance, is not knowing, but developing the culture a bit more and having to watch conversations where you don't actually understand them. You know, don't translate them, just have people sort of understand vaguely, and then I like that nuance of everyone's always very relatable and humanoid talking, and these are the antithesis. You know they're humanoid, but they could be anything in between, and you can't understand them. They've got a, want to see more of the Breen.
Speaking of not understanding them, here's an advertisement. There you go. So we're back.
Was it about the
still
Breen?
Talking about?
Was it?
Maybe. Imagine a commercial all in Breen. Anyway, yeah, the Breen. I personally do want to know what's under the mask. It takes me back to when I was a kid. We didn't know what Boba Fett looked like. There was a comic that showed him without his helmet, and he's like purple with like a weird alien head. It's that mystery of not knowing. It's great, but you always want to know. And then once you know, you're like, oh, that's all it is. It's whatever his name is. I can't remember the actor's name now. But anyway, so I do want to know what they're all about. I know that they like the cold weather. I want to see what the planet's like. I want to see what the technologically they're like.
I want to see their planet. Sure. Yeah.
We know kind of what their military can do as far as weapons and ships go. I want to see their culture. I want to see what a civilian Breen looks like. So yeah, there's a lot of potential there. And if they were going to be on my list, but for some reason they're not. I don't know why. So I apologize, guys. This is my chance to talk about them. Yes, they would have been up in the top 5 somewhere probably. But yeah, it's just a lot of unknowns here. And yes, we kind of got them back for lower decks, but we needed more. So yeah.
And the second, I wish I'd thought of it. Trekyard Arcturus from Voyager. Yes.
There's gonna be a lot we wish we would have put on here. I guarantee you.
And I started by then 45 choices, which is reasonably significant. But yes, certainly Arcturus would be great. Wouldn't that be kind of fun though to have a Dauntless-esque ship, but not quite slipstreaming in an Arcturus alien, but a female, the second last survivor, kind of Time Lord it, where it's the last surviving Arcturus race. Oh, there's another one. Another next last surviving Arcturus race. That'd be fun.
Yeah, ones that you guys are going to think of that we didn't think of or just didn't put on the list. But each of mine are on here for a particular reason. So Bear that in mind.
Uh,
This list could probably do a revisiting at some point where we just talk about races that we'd like to see more of. So
That's why I threw it on mentions. But you're number 9 there. Actually, I'll do a poll. Or you talk to people.
do a poll.
I'll do a poll.
And I'll tell people to hit like, because we have 41 people here and only 28 likes. We can probably get that up to 50. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Don't forget, Matt's already super chatted, but we do need super chats to help the conversation. And anything you guys want to talk about, feel free to super chat in and show your support for the channel. We appreciate that. Also, consider joining the channel. It's a little each month. It's not too bad for monthly subscriptions, so check those out at least and look at your options. And if you can join, we'd really appreciate that as well. So it's a good way to help our channel in the YouTube algorithms, because it shows that you guys want to be a part of the channel and actually subscribe monthly for have us make content. So it does help us out more than you guys realize. So even a couple bucks a month would really be beneficial. Grant McGregor throws in $5. Discovery says, hold my beer. I'm going to do a green reveal. Oh, Breen reveal. I think you mean, hey, the Breen in the future? That could be interesting. They won't do it, but it could be interesting.
I also don't want Discovery to take any of these aliens because they'll hurt them. Let's be honest with ourselves.
All I want to see in Discovery, honestly, is what the Klingons, where the hell are Klingons, what they're doing. So, how do they look? Okay, so the poll is up. Do you want to see more random old canon aliens return, or are you happy with mostly the classics? You guys bring back old aliens? Nah, Klingons, Romulans, Borg are the best. Or all aliens.
It's true, because the big ones are big for a reason. Do you want to keep developing big ones or just look at small ones? I don't know.
And Spectre, Angel of Vengeance, says, hi guys, I'm a huge fan. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Glad you could catch a live so you can interact with us. That's pretty awesome. Thank you.
And we hope you like live so you don't Angel of Vengeance us, because that's...
Yeah, but good to see you.
Shout out so you don't vengeance us.
So me going on to my number 9.
Yes.
My number 9 is the Excalibans.
Oh.
Yeah, from TOS. Purely rock creature with no internal organs. Not quite sure what their civilization is like, nor what it's capable of. They do create kind of like a test zoo, if you will, for the TOS crew. But I always loved these aliens growing up because they were essentially rocks until they wanted to show themselves. Very hard to detect, created for like a molten rock. And they're very alien. This is one of the ones that always grabbed me as a kid because of the claws and the multiple eyes on the head. I want to see more of the Excalibans. I don't know how advanced they are, if they're advanced at all, but you got to think if these come back in any form. They come back in Picard, Prodigy, Lower Decks, even Discovery. If they came back in Discovery as with space travel, how cool would that be? Like a ship that looks like an asteroid, and then it can reconfigure itself into like a starship design. There's a ton of potential with these guys, and we didn't get enough of them. There was one of the coolest aliens that we got on TOS, one of the most alien looking aliens, and definitely a lot of fertile ground there for them because they can create illusions. There's a lot that they can do to kind of trick you as an adversary. So yeah, let's see what the Excalibans are up to. Weird choice, I know, but it's one that really popped into my head when this list was mentioned, and I'm like, yeah, I want to learn more about them and what they're up to.
Well, it's interesting you say that just because of what you said. Are they not quite similar to the Telosians in that respect?
No. The Telosians are weak and feeble. They just do everything with their mind. These guys, we don't know what they're capable of. They're literally rocks. I mean, maybe the one in Galaxy Quest was one of these guys. We don't even know, man.
Just like a second uncle, fourth removed.
Rock. Yeah.
But the reason I mention that is because if are they psychically powered linked? Are they psychically connected? Are they powered by psychic energy, or are they actually metamorphosing matter?
I don't know.
Or what's implied in the episode, out of the two? Because if
I do know quite a bit about them because of the write-up. If you want to hear the write-up.
Yeah.
The Excalibans are a carbon cycle race of beings with body chemistry based on calcium carbonate.
Mm.
While little is known about their society or capabilities, they have shown the ability to alter their planet in order to produce other environments for research purposes. They are described as living rock with no apparent internal organs and increasingly high body temperature. They can draw minerals from within themselves to form quartz lenses for seeing or mineral claws for crushing, with no apparent limit to the variety of their external configurations. Their planet's under quarantine as a result of the visit from TOS as well. So these guys actually, because they are all mineral based, it'd be interesting if they were like a foe of the Tholians, because the crystalline kind of structure of the Tholians is similar. So it'd be interesting to see. And considering that their planet is off limits, who knows what they're doing? They could have advanced to the point where they're actually dangerous because they're leaving their planet now. So I don't know. We don't know much about them, but
because if they can alter matter, that's obviously very strong, very powerful. Even if it's limited to certain types of, biological matter, that's still fun. And as you say, the idea of them being able to metamorphose a chunk of their planet into a spaceship that uses organic engines, and then the ship is sort of like an extension of them, and maybe like a little bit of a joke, but the Power Rangers, they fly these Megazords. Imagine if then there's this creature inside a giant creature, alien, like the ship turns into a sort of creature, but not really. Could be fun. And it's like, well, it's both organic, but also rock, but also not, but also living, but also conscious.
Yeah. Can you imagine they're like the asteroid ship of theirs turning into a huge Excalibur that's
what
like
I mean.
grabs the starship with its claws? Yeah, that'd be quite interesting.
And it's so metamorphosy that there's a plot point where they destroy 92% of the ship, and it's just debris, but the debris is a little bit sentient in each piece of debris, and then can say cyclically connect and then reform. Boom, you can't kill it. I mean there's definitely something to go there, and I love the idea of turning their planet into a ship versus building a ship. That's really unrelatable in a good way. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I like it.
Spectre of Angel of Vengeance says, "Hello, I won't vengeance anyone. I just wanted to tell you both I have autism and ADHD. Your videos calm me and make me laugh." That's good. In work, it helps, keeps me focused. Thank you so much for that. Well, thank you for letting us know that. We appreciate that. I'm glad we can help in some way. So
yeah, we both have our own mental things, so glad we can help you with yours.
Yeah. And speaking of mental things, Matt Boardman throws in $5. Need more Horta. Did the species die out? Was a dialogue set up at the Federation? Are they a limited species or special abilities beyond what we saw? The Horta can cross my mind for this list, but they seem more animal-like, and just protecting their young essentially. Kind of hard to say what they could do. They may also be related to the Excaliburs. Now that you said
it's
that.
true. Let's be honest with you, that is a perfect Discovery Season 5 alien. Like Horta evolved by 900 years. And so you have Horta, so they've been to a planet, they meet Horta rays, like, oh, looks like a Horta, and then suddenly a physical creature walks in. It's like, get away from my babies. And now it's like, oh shit. Maybe, the melding with Spock, like, increased their genetic, like, changed how they evolved and they became humanoid, and yeah.
Yes. Spectre of Vengeance brings up a good point. How would the board cope with these aliens, like the Excalibans? Like, can they be assimilated? Don't know. Probably not. So, interesting.
I mean, I think any race can be assimilated with enough time and effort.
Possibly.
we might.
Plus knowledge. Because you're assimilating other races with massive scientific knowledge, so.
Yeah. That's my vote, but yes.
And Graham McGregor throws in $10
Thank you.
and says, "Number 11, bring back the Territins." Trying to remember what the Territins are. Let me look it up.
Okay, you tell me. I'll talk to the chat. Yes, more Thalians, we agree. Tribbles became...
Thalians are probably on the list.
Tribbles, man, yeah.
The triples just, all over.
Just do proper tribbles. We didn't create them, that's silly. Retcon that shit out. But yeah, guys, vote in our poll. We currently have 35 votes, but there's 56 of you, so of course there should be 40 votes at least. The poll is: do you want to see more random canon aliens return, or are you happy with the mostly classics? The questions, answers, of course, being yes, biblical aliens, all aliens, or no, Klingons and Romans Borg are best. For now.
So the Territins, the only real thing I could find is the descendants of the human settlers of the only planet orbiting the solar surface. The Territins were shrunk to a few millimeters in height by a strange spheroid energy wave that affected the surface of their adopted planet. Oh, they must be. Oh, the Territin incident. It's is that the animated series? I believe it is. Yeah. Cool. Territins.
I know not of what you speak, Stuart.
Shame on you. I don't either. That's fine. All right. So what's your number 9, my friend?
My number 9. Just click that to start go. Yes, my number 9 is, of course, the Norsicans. Which is a weird one because they're almost by definition dull. But that's kind of why I like them, because you have Orion pirates, you have Norscan pirates. It's fun to have that kind of third party, in a battle, Klingons, Federation, pirates, and the makeup is superb. I think obviously it is very just Predator with different vibe, but it is still a gorgeous makeup. I'm glad they used it a few times in Trek. And obviously the way we've seen them ever has been relatively simple, but I've always liked a Norscan episode because of what they do with them. So if you were to expand them a bit more, have a Norsican consulate, Norsican culture a bit more, the Orions aren't just raiders, where can you go? A doctor Norsican, a scientist Norsican. I think there's the makeup and the huge hulking creatures who are all like 6'4", 6'5". They're out there for a very long time, pre-us, warp capable. More of their culture, more of their vibe. Developed obviously, like I said, further than just raiders, although having a Norsican battle in Picard or in Lower Decks would be great. I just think they're a fun common side race that I would like to see focused on some, because I would like to see them develop beyond the status quo vibe. I have a soft spot for Norscans, and I was really happy when there was Norscan in there's the Norscan actor who returned for Renegades for a brief moment, because it was just really good to see.
Yeah, Norscans I'd love to just learn more about them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of come across as like dumb Klingons, or maybe more clever, cunning Klingons. I don't know.
That's the thing. You can take the way they appear a few ways. They don't maybe they've got that vocabulary, but they've been doing stuff for a long time, and they're obviously always dangerous in every era.
Yeah, like you hear Gnostic and you think, oh shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, and plus they got a good look for sure. See, the thing is, you said 45 aliens. I got 15 in the thing you sent me.
Well, I found more after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I sent you them early, and then you was like, okay, you already sent them back, and they were just meant to be a mind brain, get your brain thinking. I found more after. Yeah.
I just thought something went wrong. That's all. Ozzy Maderos, $2. Little Horta, or the big Horta. Yeah. Trek Reviewer says, "Is this a shot from Voyager?" No, this is from TNG, isn't it?
No, this is the one Voyager holograph fake episode thing. It's the Voyager briefing room, which is great.
Gotcha.
A nice clear shot. I think it's when
Cool.
Q2 is forced to do diplomacy lessons, and he succeeds in
making
making peace between all the races, and it's like, how'd you do that? Girl, I'm great. You cheated. Yes, I did. Because the best person knows what to do is to cheat the rules. Sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, definitely a good choice.
Thank you.
Another one I probably would have added to my list. But...
Like they're so easy to but they just work. Something about them. They're a good. They aren't just Klingons. They aren't just if these are the Kazon. Like if the Kazon exist, these hadn't existed. These were introduced for Voyager. The look I think would have been much cooler.
That's what I was going to say. They kind of look like a cross between the Kazon and the Klingon.
Yeah, and a Predator, obviously.
Dom Jot Human.
Just cool.
Yeah, good choice.
There you go.
All right, my number 8 might be a weird one, but I don't really care. Ballot from the First Federation. We saw the ship, the Vesuvius, which was huge, with this little splinter cell breakoff ship. We don't know what the First Federation is. Interesting name, assuming they're a quite old race. Their technology seems pretty advanced. But all we saw is this guy and his little mannequin puppet. And I want to learn more about the First Federation. Now, I know the First Federation have been explored quite a bit in books and expanded on that way. But I would like to know their territory of space, what their culture is like, as far as like their spacefaring adventures. Like, where's their territory? What are they doing? Are they so old that they're actually a race that's gone now? Like, there's so much potential there, and the ship was so huge in TOS. It would be a match for some of the ships in TNG and Voyager as well. So yeah, I want to learn more about these guys and what they're capable of. So, and I know that in God Federation ship that's kind of cobbled together or repaired. So it's kind of neat to just imagine what the interiors of the ships are like and what they're capable of. So they seem like a pretty advanced species. So yeah, bring back the First Federation. There you go.
Now then, would you want them to all be babies? Because he's not a child. Baylock is not a child of this race. That's just how they look. Yeah. Would they all want to like this?
Well, yeah, probably. I don't want to change it. Because, yeah, he's not a kid. He's supposed to be like a... Yeah.
I mean, if you can hire really good child actors, I mean, that's certainly somewhat creepy, let's be honest.
Yeah, kids doing a lot of stuff is creepy, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I also considered this, but I considered the fake Baylock.
I did too, yeah.
Which makes no sense. But
I didn't know which picture to put for this one, but this is more accurate.
So I kind of want to see what that race would be, as if that was a race from even further back that they thought was scary, so they used it as a front. But no, First Federation as a race, as a culture, that's a great choice. And certainly, Lower Decks finding the Destroyers, dropping a warp and finding the wreckage of a Viserius. And, each one of the balls are bigger than the Borg sphere, and, like, visually it takes an entire space.
Big balls.
And they cannot lie. But they can try on you. No, that'd be great. And certainly, yeah. I mean, this probably also very good for Lower Decks or Prodigy, because they could have baby actors, but just adult voices who sound obviously more young, but can be full adults. And I would, be quite creepy. The Shining girls are creepy. There are many children in media that are creepy, and if you want to just go very clinical with it, especially if you play with the height, maybe they have and this is a weird thing to throw out, but maybe, so imagine the floor on the ship. So they're at the Viserius A, and there's a floor, and this guy he walks normally. Small pendulums aren't a problem, but because they know that the races are taller than them, the floor is made up of like replicator blocks where everything can shift, and so anywhere else is, the floor shifts down like 6 foot, and so he's always taller than them, and it morphs as he walks, and so literally everything shifts, so he's always the tallest person in the room. That would be a really fun visual, just a symbolic of like, well, I mean, I'm the boss here. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a very fantastic idea. But you go back to the creepy kids thing, and even Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Steven Spielberg movie, when the aliens come off the ship at the end, they're kids. They walk like kids. They were cast as kids, but just knowing that they're an advanced sentient race that's like that, it's just creepy for some reason. So that works. And you can even CGI them if you want, like much like the miners in Galaxy Quest, because those are kind of creepy too. So there's a lot of potential there for that. So
I mean, Clint's face could easily been CG here as how deformed he looks.
Yeah. Geez, that's not nice to Clint.
No, he did a great job.
Taylor T throws in $20.
There you
just arrived. Cool video. I'm excited to go back and watch the rest.
Or just stay here and keep going with us live. I mean, that's fun too. But yes, welcome. Hello. Good to see you. Thank you.
And Grant McGregor, $5.
Thanks, Grant.
I guess the Territins were too small on your radar. Nah.
Besides,
some classic aliens come back. I do want to see someone in Starfleet, even for comedy's sake.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Okay.
What's your number 8?
Excellent. My number 8 is the Tholians. Again, they feels like it's somewhat cheating because we have seen them throughout, but never enough to give us a real oomph of them. That it hurts me, Stuart. You know, we both of these are like are some of our top bring them back aliens. They're low on the list because they have had lots of appearances, so they don't feel rare, but they feel underdeveloped. But more than a lot of races, so it's a tricky one. But I mean, why the hell aren't these the villains in Stranger Worlds Season 3 or Prodigy Season 4? Or, you know, these are like they're fully ready to go as a villain race.
Yep.
Straight out. No changes, boom, go. And you could joke with, you know, I love this version of spiders. Gorgeous design. Thought it was a great reinvention. But you could easily have there are different spiders in our cultures, on our planet. So have variant legs and appendages, and you know, retcon it as being that captain was the 17th brand of Tholians that had this version of more bipedal, whatever. You could do so much with them while making them alien, and I'm so glad they weren't just helmeted people, because that would have been such a huge letdown. This is a great, cool design. Yes, CG, fine, but there's plenty of alien species, and to keep them smart is important. They turned the Gorn dumb, brutish, and who the fuck cares anymore. Keeping these guys as, you know, advanced, thoughtful races that, you know, will use tech to kill you or heat to kill you, whatever. It's just, and as long as you keep roughly with their ship design, their ship basic aesthetic can go so many places and make an epic armada without too much work. So, read on Tholians. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tholians are on my list. I'm not going to say too much about them, but the different casts they have, like the warrior cast and things like that, with different. But we've actually on Trekyards we've focused quite a bit on the Tholians in one particular episode, and it was fun to kind of learn more about them. Plus, in ships like Starfleet Battles and stuff, they got the web spinner ships, and they got different kind of like dreadnoughts, which are like 3 kind of melded together. So that there's a lot of potential with that kind of thing. But yeah, I'll talk more about the Tholians when they show up on my list for sure.
And Taylor T is going to stay live with us. Wants a quick rundown of what was our 10 and 9. So Stuart's number 10 was Schism's Aliens from TNG, and number 9 was Scalbians, and number 8 was Baylock. My number 10 was the Breen. My number 9 was Tholian. My number 8 was Tholian. There you go. So your number 7, Stuart.
My number 7 is the Kensington.
Ooh, interesting pick as well.
We saw.
Ooh.
That's from Star Trek 4. We saw them in the Slaver Weapon in the animated series. We've heard them referenced in Picard. I don't know if we've heard any other references, but they did appear in Star Trek 4 in the judge, the courthouse, whatever the hell it was. I want to learn more about them. They seem to be a pretty formidable race, the way that people talk about them. So bring it on. Again, I've played Starfleet Battles. These guys are big in the Starfleet Battles gameplay, so I know a lot about their ships and their capabilities. And to see that fleshed out actually on screen would be fantastic. And it's weird because you get little tastes of them, little hints of them here and there. Like those small little references are just like this. You can see them as part of being part of Starfleet. So I want to learn more about them specifically. And what, again, a lot of this comes down for me as to what they're actually like, what their society's like, and what they're capable of. So yes, bring them in a larger scope. So there you go, the Kensington. I don't have that much else to say about them, but I really wanted to include them because you kind of get a taste of what they're like. So yeah.
Quick question, just to make it clear for the audience: how many of your batch have been TOS aliens, Stuart?
You actually want me to answer that?
Of the current 4 so far.
Oh, the current 4 so far, 3.
Who's shocked, guys? I'm not. Kensington are funny because they obviously were made for a different book series, so they have a totally different legacy outside of Star Trek. And it's kind of fun to think they aren't that in Star Trek, obviously, but they're their own thing. And they are just, cat people. Yeah, I love saying Kensington. I like them in the Ringworld series from what I can remember. It's been a lot of years now, but yeah. And they're not tremendously hard to do makeup-wise.
No.
I mean,
and they're very similar to Cations, too. Are they related? That'd be interesting to find out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and if you could do Linus bloody beautifully, I mean, this is, not super far away. Yeah, and I'd accept, like there's I mean, it's a higher budget, but there's an alien, there's a creature in The Witcher who has a prosthetic everything around here and a CG face, and it blends beautifully. Expensive, obviously, but it allows for full movement and full, like, abstractly real, and because it's real fur being lit, they can match the CG fur better because there's a lot of real that's there. So do this with this would be fantastic. Yeah, no, because indeed, I mean, I like Larry Niven's work, so bring him back.
And Dan Ben says, so that's what Catwoman is? You mean Emrys in the animated series? No, she's Cation, which is another cat-like species. And Verpian even says, I thought the cat people on Star Trek 4 were Cations, not Kensington. No, this is actually Kensington. It's actually on Memory Alpha. So, yeah. Cool. I didn't know that either. I didn't know this was specifically a Kensington, but I was going to use a picture of them from the Slaver Weapon, the animated series, but I thought this was a better one. So
it's great. Yeah, I like it. But we know nothing about their species, so it's kind of hard to say. You need to develop it from scratch, pretty much. Which, hey, do it. Challenge. There you go. Excellent. Well, my number 7 is the Sullivan. Or Sullivan. Because they were definitely weird. I remember first run watching Enterprise, because they are kind of boss-powered aliens. They can meta-transform, they can squidge their bodies, they have powerful weapons, powerful ships, fleets of ships, stations. Like, they're kind of oddly out-of-placely powerful, and cloaks. But that certainly is really interesting, and when we thought about the show, there is the Cabal, which is the people who are got this tech, is a very slim representation of the species. I mean, to the point of it's basically a cult. There's some of them. Everyone else are just general people, civilians. But the makeup is so effective. It's both weird, good, creepy, terrible, fun, horrible. It's kind of everything, and yet it's the simplest thing. But the texture, and I mean, Sidlick was great, so you can't say they couldn't act through it and perform. The shifting, the body changing effects were great. I mean, if you threw one of these into Star Trek Picard, it would still be pretty damn dangerous. I mean, they're not any less dangerous than they were then.
Yeah, these ones are all genetically modified and helped out in that regard. So I don't know if that continued on after that, though.
Well, I assume not. But what if they had children? Yeah. What if 10 survived their children? You could easily find a way of keeping them together. Or future guy, while still dealing with NX-01, brings one to the TNG era before the Temple Cold War finishes, so you can still easily bring one in to any other era. I just think makeup-wise, because obviously half the time there'd have to be makeup, so you could have it be a really nice twist reveal. You're meeting this Starfleet officer, you really like him by the end, and then bam, at the end they reveal their Sullivan, and they then spend 8 months undercover to this, and twist. You imagine the audience of we love this person, twist, no, not only a villain from the past, enhanced by the future, and they've got a ship docked to the nacelle of the hero ship for the last 8 months, and it's cloaked, and it's got you know what I mean? Everything they can do is story gold. And if you had motivation of maybe, future guy handpicked the one lieutenant to go forward, and future guy's still talking to him, so you get that link. And like I say, a lot of baggage with them in a good way. But even just like a civilian, it'd be nice to see them who still exist now, as in TNG, Picard or whatever, the good guys, they were non-enhanced, they slightly resent the legacy their terrorist brothers had back in the day, and now they're just living their life, and how they could, So yeah, I just think they're very effective visually. I'd like to see in return.
Yeah, I could definitely see them coming back in Lower Decks or something like that, for sure. I kind of like the idea of the Temple Cold War because of that. The genetically modified and dangerous ones are kind of everywhere. We just don't know it. So yeah,
because there isn't, because don't they send Silic back? Because Silic is back in time, I suppose, in the Nazi stuff. But that's what they go through the NX-01 time travel. I guess they don't. That's only. Cause I'm thinking of the one with the Xindi that go back in time, but they don't go back in time, do they?
Matt Boardman, $5. would be interesting to see the Herc make an appearance. Maybe to explain why we haven't seen Klingons in the 32nd century yet. Yes, 100% yes. Absolutely.
Herc, for me, are very much like a stressful, can they do them right? A lot of baggage with that. With a limited amount of knowledge, a lot of baggage. It's like Trelane species, either yes or no Q. Like that also use them is quite all like Organians. A lot of baggage to do them right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Number 7.
So my number 6 is the Binars. The Binars are interesting because they work in pairs, obviously. So you could, even if they have a fleet, like there are 2 ships that are always kind of close enough together or linked somehow. Or even have like Binar Starfleet officers where there's 2 of them. They're always in proximity to each other, kind of how they have to operate. Plus, we heard about their homeworld being basically just Coruscant, all linked and all computerized, which would mean advanced. I want to see what their ships are like. I want to see, again, what their civilization's like and how dangerous they can be. Like, especially the idea of always having a pair of ships. If one gets destroyed, maybe the other one's not as powerful or something. There's a lot of storytelling gold there, I think. And we need to, in my opinion, see more of the Binars. The Binars are also in this book. But yeah, so there's little hints and stuff dropped again through beta canon, I know for sure, about them. And I don't know. I think it was an interesting premise. And just hearing about their homeworld made me want to see it. Because it sounds like Cybertron or something, you know? No actual like dirt or trees anywhere. It's all just metallic. And so, yeah, Binars. And they can come back at anything, honestly. It'd be great if they found one or a pair of them in Prodigy. The kids find them, stumble across them, or they're ripe for jokes and such in Lower Decks. So yeah, bring them back.
That's a really solid choice. Yeah, you know, rogue Binars that can work in unison as a fighter fleet. Fighters are so ineffective unless they're as working in pairs. That's And then what if you have, you know, rogue Binars that actually link 10 Binars together? It shouldn't be done, and yet it's done. And now you've got mini collectives where they can send 4 ships, and they're all doing, you know, you can, and they've got, you know, more tech, and they're kind of Cybermen-y, with like they've got several implants, and they're losing themselves, but they're gaining power and strength and ability.
Imagine if the Borg assimilate a Binar and it spreads straight to all of the Binars because of their interconnectivity. Damn.
But I like the idea of Binar bridge officers. You got helm and navigation, and they're talking amongst themselves. And
they don't have to talk to each other. They just like, and they're like the ship's just doing all this great shit. Yeah.
Or like one at science, one at helm, like on a galaxy class, and they're sort of talking back and forth, and you never know who they're talking to because they're so intertwined. Or even reverse it, you have a single Binar make an appearance, and they've got hair because they've wanted hair, and like they're up for revenge because someone killed their Binar friend, twin, partner, and they've gone super evil and super deranged, and they've you know, like you go really evil with it. Or maybe or maybe even Binar that's connected to a sentient computer, and so they've kind of got this wireless signal with the power of a computer. And they're being converted, like, you know, imagine if what's the Lodex evil guy? The robot, the machine.
Peanut Hamper.
No, well, yes, but Jeffrey Combs, I meant.
Agnes.
So imagine if they connect to Agamus, and you think it's a Binar, it's not. So yeah, definitely you have to. I'd want to see a twist on the format. Binars go rogue, but the fact they're brought in. Because the Galaxy class is brand new and really advanced, and yet the Binars are so much more advanced, they thought them needed to update it. It just got launched with the best stuff possible. Oh, it's not good enough, let's improve it. They're going to have some serious knowledge. Yeah, no, that's a really really interesting shout.
Lots of potential is what I'm saying with this storytelling with these guys for sure. So.
And, in fairness, you can now utilise clever filming to do any height of actor, and you can do clever false perspective stuff. So you don't I assume they were children of some kind, because they were quite small. I don't think they're little people. I think
I'd say teenagers or
teenagers. Yeah, great choice. Great choice. And good makeup. It's alien, but
Mhm.
not. Good choice. Good choice. All right, my number 6 then is the. I should have put him higher, but I'm going to stick with it. As in, like, I have other reasons. Species 8472. One of the obvious bring them back because they ripped onto the scene. They literally destroyed the biggest threat in Starfleet history. And then goodbye. Didn't see him again. Now, you can argue that's a good thing because, you know, that means we stopped pissing them off and we've now made them okay. But so alien. And with modern CG, they looked great back then. Modern CG, they could look the same, but hold up. The psychicness, the ships, beautiful, bring them back. The world destroying ability makes them a doomsday race instantly. They're top level. I mean, how would the Romulans destroy a planet? I don't know. It wouldn't be that easy. They could do it very easily. Simple plot. Fluidic space is attracted a virus, and 8472 need to come to our galaxy because they're refugees, and now you've got millions of ships coming through and insisting that we take them. You know, you've got lots of stories you could tell, or even mirror universe 8472. You know, the mirror fluidic space you could play with. You know, ones that legitimately want to kill. You know, the way they presented Voyager is so strong, and easily you can go for even good 8472. You imagine them as a Starfleet officer. The first exchange program, they're a fully human-looking alien, a person, and then the big reveal at the end of Act 1 of Episode 19 of Lower Decks Episode 14 or Picard Episode 3 is they go into their quarters and like, why are the ceilings so tall? Why are they in specialist quarters? And they get into an 8472 size bed and they relax and it's like, well, shit, that's awesome. And it's just Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff 8472,
Jeff.
That'd be a fun play on that. I mean, what do you think about going Starfleet with them?
I think I've seen a picture of one in Starfleet uniform. But yeah, the Undine, as they were called in CO. And they came back in Voyager, but they were disguised as humans.
Good episode.
Had a whole Starfleet
Boothby.
Academy.
Woo! Evil Boothby.
A lot of potential for them, for sure. They should have also been on my list, but for some reason they're absent.
Despite being in the thumbnail, Stuart.
I know, right?
I know, right?
I love the alienness of them. I would want to see them as an alien instead of disguised as a human half the time. It's kind of the reverse of what Lieutenant Eric's was, because he had like 3 hands.
Yeah.
And but yeah, seeing more of them would be great because their ships are quite powerful. The linking together, the connectivity of them, and the telepathy as well. There's a lot going on with them that is potentially terrifying. So,
and I wonder if you could go double power with it, because they would able to do genetic morphing modification thing. What if they were able to become in Starfleet or whatever? They could half do it, so they won't disrespect their original forms. Now you've got purple skin tone aliens with like kind of Ferengi-esque larger heads, human this bit, but everything is 8472-esque, as in like of a humanoid frame, and then weird slightly longer fingers. So it's a weird hybrid of we're still us, but we're in a humanoid shell. And maybe like the third leg is now a CG tail. So it's not quite as distracting, and they can still use it to be whatever. Which we get an interesting way of saying, come join Starfleet, and this is a unique kind of version. Then Harry Kim meets one, it's like, oh my god, you real poisoned my face once, guys. And then Chakotay's like, oh, you look hot. It's like, thank you. Yeah, bring back what's her name, the lady from that episode who's in Battlestar Galactica. Bring her back. Yeah.
Taylor T, $5. I'd love to see the Komar from Voyager. I'd like to see how introducing music changed them over 900 years on Discovery.
Which one were they? That's me remind myself.
Yeah, I mean, any of these 900 years later, it would be interesting to see whether they've carved out a huge chunk of the galaxy for themselves and they're now one of the major powers or players. Absolutely. Discovery has a lot of potential. being where it is right now, but they're squandering it with stupidity. So,
But
yeah,
yes, I agree. That was a fun episode. They were so advanced, so over the top. So we're powerful. You're not. Yeah, yeah. I'll be there. Yeah.
Good choice. Yeah, I just think I know they're in a big part of Star Trek Online and stuff. So I think it's one of the reasons that I didn't put them in my list, because they did return to Voyager as well with that whole two-parter. So I don't know.
But it's like Thalians have been throughout multiple shows, so
Yeah, but
they're in Enterprise like 5 times.
We learned more
Yeah.
about the 8472 and the those episodes of Voyager than we ever have about the Tholian. So
Yes, we did. But that's why they're
Jasper
so
Jedi,
Ooh.
$10. I think the Voth is a huge opportunity for a lot of great storytelling.
Maybe it is.
Be coming up on our lists somewhere.
Maybe. Who's to say? But Stuart, do you want to finish our poll out? Read the results.
Okay. You want to see more old canon aliens return? Are you happy with? Love that the Klingons, Romulans, and Borg got 0%.
That's rare for us.
But yeah. But yes, bring back old aliens at 59%, and all aliens comes in second at 41%. I'm going to end that poll before somebody votes on that Klingon one because, 0%.
Well, let me now we reveal a few of ours. I'll ask, who would you most like to see more of?
Yeah, do that. So yeah, guys, hit that like button if you haven't. We have 60 likes, which is amazing. 62 people here and 61 likes now. So keep hitting that like button if you haven't. If you're watching this after the fact, hit it. Throw in a super thanks. But we're halfway to our goal for our super chat. So please keep the super chats coming. We're doing good. We're at the halfway mark of the live and halfway mark for our minimum that we need. So fantastic. Thank you so much to everybody that super chatted. Keep it up. We want to hear your thoughts on these things. So, but yeah, and also consider hitting that join button. I wouldn't mind one new member join this live, perhaps. So click the join button and look at your options for that.
I'll just go back in 1 minute. See you in a moment.
We're coming up on our top 5 now, so we're halfway through our list. The new poll is: what would you like to see? Who would you like to see more of? The Tholians, species 8472, the Breen, or the Voth? Good choices. The Voth is likely on both of our lists near the top, so stay tuned for that. We'll see where they rest. So, and Sammy will be back in just 1 minute here. So many aliens to choose from. It was kind of a hard list to make, and I know I've missed some out that should have been on my list, but there's certain ones that popped into my mind that I needed to include. So we'll see where this goes. Most of them have been TOS aliens, but I love TOS, and I wondered about it since I was a kid, so that's why it's such a big part of my list here. So. Sebastian throws in €5. One of you better have the Hirogen on their list. Remans would be cool too. Well, the Hirogen was one of my honorable mentions, Sebastian. So,
it's almost on his list.
Yes, almost.
Yes.
So, thank you for the super chat, Sebastian. Appreciate it.
Yes. All right, you're halfway point, Stuart. Halfway point.
So coming up on my number 5, we got the Aurelians.
What a surprise! More TOS-esque. My God, Stuart.
Well, these guys are great. They're established quite a bit in the animated series. They're beings that are known for having amassed one of the largest, most comprehensive libraries in the United Federation of Planets anywhere. Plus, they're a sentient bird species. They were mentioned in Lower Decks this season. The Peanut Hamper episode with You guys are just poor man Aurelians. Plus, they got a very alien look. They've shown up in Lower Decks a few times, actually. They've been like in the marketplace. You've seen them here and there, even nesting in the one, um, I guess, nature preserve. You see them. So these guys are intelligent, tall, great look, and part of the Federation. Like I said, not amassed one of the biggest libraries in the United Federation of Planets. And yes, and a TOS, I know. But as I was telling everybody when you were gone, the reason there's so many TOS on my list is because I wondered about these things since I was a kid, and I wanted to see them expanded on. So that's why a lot of TOS stuff's on my list, because it's just something that's been in my head for so long. And they're very interesting visually. Just learning about more about their history and like what their civilization is like really intrigues me. So they're on there. Got to admit, it's a cool looking species, and they play a pretty important role in the animated series in and I think 2 episodes at least. So yeah, bring on more Aurelians. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, it's only a trickier one to create, and believably.
But they look so real with their wings and stuff. It's like,
Well,
I actually found a picture of one with the First Contact uniform on, a First Contact styled uniform, because it's different up here because of their wings. But
yeah,
we didn't use that. It's in one of the role playing guides.
Because it'd have to be CG, wouldn't it? This would be too difficult.
I imagine. Yeah, if you do it practical, it would look like a bird from Sesame Street.
Yeah, it would. Because I mean, I get the sense from this that actually their fur is quite limited to like almost like clothing of fur. They got shoulder of fur, chest of fur, but it's mostly skin. So it kind of gives them been interesting.
I think it's all feathers. It's all like down, like small feathers, but so it looks smoother.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
But it kind of gives them like a armor vibe in a small way. They aren't just smooth. They aren't just all furry, etc. No, it'd be interesting. It's certainly great seeing Lower Decks. It was a surprise, a lovely surprise. I mean, what do we know about? You said the biggest library, and obviously it's great to see aliens that you would think could be villains, could be crazy, whatever. Just there. Federation members, just chill. So you kind of want to be the most plain thing possible. It's just like they come on as like ambassadors, just chatting. You almost don't want them to be radical or interesting. Their normality is almost part of the fun. Almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know that they live at high peaks on their home world's mountain ranges, constructing deep, interconnected caverns. They're excellent stone crafters.
Real important to spaceships. Real important.
They create deep rock architecture, and it's to delight visitors. So their homeworld is like a place to visit, just for the sights. So I mean, there's some interesting stuff there. Verpine though throws in $10. I would like to see any of the aliens that showed up as diplomats in Star Trek 4. A lot of strange ones that were never named on screen or showed up again. Yeah, there's quite a few in that Star Trek 4 scene. That was actually fantastic. So, yes, 100%.
Yeah, good choice. My number 5 is a definite for me. Is the Krenim from Voyager. Now, this obviously is a real tricky one because the Krenim as seen in Voyager are not the Krenim as seen now in the universe. Because the way we saw them was Red Foreman, who got pissed about his son. He decided to cryogenically stasis himself and throw himself into the sky, fire himself eventually in the Krenim homeworld, and they took this role of Anoraks. Anyway, no, I'm joking. In the episode, obviously, we see them in Year of Hell as being the commanders of this insanely effective, powerful, not Babylon 5, and it's able to temporarily displace and remove people from history. Thing we've never seen before or since, except on like a relativity scale, which is a bit different and more just like, time travel. This is such more like a brute force way of doing it. And he's thoughtful. The entire crew is thoughtful, intelligent, calculating beyond belief, etc. By the end of the episode, obviously, everything is reset. He's back to being a poet. Great. Fantastic. And the race never did develop this time travel. However, once one has developed it, one can develop it again. And so I would either like to see, a time remnant from the Krenim, from one of the many Krenim timelines, because as soon as one variant developed or had time shields, they'd be resisted, you'd think, from the time changers. So you could easily have another time ship appear, or time weapon ship. Obviously not Anorax, but some reference would be fun. Or even, his son went evil again, or whatever. There's lots of ways you could take this, but I like the vibe. It's minimalist makeup, but effective. And the art design was fantastic. The uniforms were good. It was a working aesthetic, and I think you'd obviously have to reintegrate them to time travel, carefully work that in with what we learned from Year of Hell, but just having a time remnant by itself would be fine for me. That's all you need, really. In one timeline, his third cousin, twice removed, had a time ship, and he was able to stay alive, and blah blah. And once you have time travel, what's slipstream? What's transwarp? Time travel ship. We can travel to the Alpha Quadrant. That's fine. So imagine a Krenim showing up, and Admiral Janeway has to be like, Krenim, but you guys. Well, that's the thing, though. Doubling down, you have the idea that one Krenim team, ship, person knows about the Voyager alternate Year of Hell future, present, whatever, but no one knows that from our timeline. So there's this two sides of a coin of all this history with one side. Nope, didn't happen for the other side. So I think there's a fun potential there. Be careful, be clever, but there's potential.
Absolutely, and those are ones that can be done really well, or they could really mess it up too. So, but yeah, with time travel, anything's possible. And like you said, if anybody else had the temporal shielding, there's so much possibility there. And they changed the timeline so many times in the region of space that who knows? Like some of those changes might not have been able to be undone. Perhaps I know they essentially reset everything, but it's sci-fi. It's the odd thing, a natural occurrence, some kind of an anomaly or nebula that wasn't affected by the correction in the timeline. So yeah, there's a lot of potential with these guys, and they were quite the opponent. So definitely lots of, and even if they focus their advancement in technology towards something else or a different version of time travel after everything was fixed, you could have a totally different style, but the same, whether they're good or evil, whatever. So yeah, lots of potential with those guys for sure. Good call. Good
Thanks. Call. Your number 4, Stuart.
Ooh, my number 4 is Cations. We saw a lot of Emrys in the animated series. And
boy, that's a similar picture to the dude.
It's a different dude. This is a Cation.
Wow, there's a similar makeup, Stuart. They did not attempt to make.
It's very similar.
He's even got the same medal.
The Kensington are black. Anyway,
he's got the same medal, Stuart. That's weird.
Vacations.
Okay. Oof, weird.
Mentioned quite a bit. We got Emrys, so we learned a little bit about them. But again, the cat people, do they go to the washroom in litter boxes? I don't even know. We need to know these things. They are a pretty important part of the Federation. They are one of the member worlds. What do they bring to the table? The cat scratch attack? I don't know. What do their ships look like? What do they do? The fact that Emrys was one and she was a member of the Enterprise crew for a small time makes this quite important, I think. So I just want to learn more about them, and I think this is a cool makeup to have, especially as an active crew member. I know that in Lower Decks we got a Kensington officer, or ensign, I mean. So, let's see if the Cations and the Kensington get along at all. You know how cats don't really like each other; they're territorial. So having 2 on your ship, 1 Cation, 1 Kensington, might be interesting. Just saying, bring them back. Let's see more of them.
You just want to see the drama, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, ostensibly the same as the last race you saw in terms of vibe. We don't know anything about them, really. Cat people, I've really nothing to say about them, I think. Just cat people. Certainly not on my list. Wow, number 4. Wow. Well, I guess you love the animated series, don't you? So, like, that character.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say versus rather than Emerus, the third arm creature. Because surely they're more interesting in general.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't even think of him when I was doing this list. Like, he probably would have been on it too, but... Again, we're getting those in Lower Decks kind of sprinkled in.
Yes, we are.
We've had 2 in Lower Decks. And very medically driven as far as what their species have done. So I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
The Pugonians. Yes, Pugonians. Bring them on.
I think that's a reference, dear mate. And did you read the poll, Stuart?
I did. I wrote it out when we were gone.
Okay, great. Oh, yeah, Dr. Tiana. Yeah, Dr. Tiana. She's in every episode, pretty much. You're right. So, in fact, we get a lot of them. She's a real bitch.
Yeah, but we've learned very little about them.
Yep.
Even though they are there, so...
Yep. My number 4, then, is the Vaudois. One of the most interesting, I think, makeups in Voyager. I wonder how long that took to do, because that's an entire head and an entire neck and an entire hair piece. Very little face remaining there. Now, the Vaudois are a tricky one, because by definition they were once great, and all their tech, therefore, now is shit. But it's a really good episode, one of the better episodes I think of Voyager in general, because it creates a lot of interesting questions. The fact that they can travel quickly, if they kept that ability, they're still very powerful. The fact that, you know, if we somehow retcon, there's another colony and there's like 5,000 ships, you know, you can have the swarm approach, which we kind of used in Voyager originally. But, you know, how do a race of people who once were so tyrannical, so evil in terms of conquest, once they're back, I mean, where do they take that? Do they you know, you can't just walk up on a place that you once conquered. Say, hey guys, we're the Vaudois, you know, demons, you know. Do you start fresh? But then, you know, if there's a bit of that conquerousness in you, I don't know what, if it's genetic, if it's just innate to, who knows, right? If that then comes out, they start doing more conquering, who knows? Maybe they are good at remembering like some technology they left thousands of years ago. They find that they've become more powerful. You know, maybe they're very good at, you know, utilizing one captured Herogen ship in order to use its new warp drive and retrofit their entire fleet, and boom, now their same ships are 500 years old, but also really advanced. You know, you could take it in so many directions and have them be a real menace. Or, you know, find another colony, find a batch of them that were never removed from time. You know, they're never in sleep and they're really sadistic, but they're locked in a solar system. Or a batch that made its way to the Alpha Quadrant, the Alpha Quadrant, Beta Quadrant, and they are, you know, repulsed by their past, and then suddenly they're told the Vaudois come back, and they're like, we have to go stop them. So many ways you could take it, and I just like the premise of the story was really interesting, and the maker is phenomenal, and they're, you know, very civilized, because you believe that they're positive people. You know, they're kind of like the Hans Gruber in Die Hard. You know, they're not loud, they're not bombastic, they're not, you know, they're not Kazon. They're quiet, they're chilled. You sort of believe them. You want to believe that, you know, adorable face, you know, and yet they're actually some of the most sadistic, evil groups of aliens that we ever met in the Delta Quadrant. I think there's a lot of potential.
Speaking of evil and sadistic, it's time for an ad. Good segue. I liked it.
Yep.
Sorry for interrupting you.
That was a segue. My God. Yeah. Thoughts?
I never really liked the looks of the Vaudois, and I don't remember a lot specifically about that episode. I mean, yeah, if super advanced, super evil, I mean, there's a lot of potential there for sure to come back. But I don't have much to say, honestly. A few people have mentioned Vaudois in the chat, though, I've noticed. So
yeah,
it's definitely one that I think a lot of people want to see more of. So yeah, 100%. It's a distinct and unique enough look that bringing it back in either Prodigy or Lower Decks would work fine. So yeah,
it's one of the makeups that shows just how simple TNG was in comparison. You know, they could get more and more and more and more ambitious in Voyager. If you had a bit more HDness, this is Discovery level. Yeah. You know, Michael West.
They're a big threat in the Discovery years in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Or the Strange New Worlds. Maybe they come across a batch that came to the Alpha Quadrant and they're just pissing people off. I just think, yes, you have to develop them quite a lot, obviously, but or even do a time travel story. Go back and see the original Vaudois Empire. And it's like, God damn, these guys sucked. What's it like to be kings upon men? Because there are kind of like the Iconians, actually. Yeah, they were to go anywhere, instantly. Well, how does that create problems? Well, a lot quickly. Yeah, they've always stood out to me as a really, one of the most interesting looking alien races in Voyager for sure. And the fact they were, good but really not good. Again, just really interesting to me.
Well, Grant McGregor throws in $10.
Thank you.
Here's a hook to bring back the Voth. A genetic message is found, like in the chase in the Delta Quadrant. The Voth go on a holy war to censor revelation as a means to fight an internal revolution. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Voth are all the potential in the world, which is annoying because use them.
Yeah. Patrick James throws in $50. So thank you so much, Patrick.
Amazing. Thank you.
What I would really love to see is a Trek show revolved around a species family for the background development. Imagine a Voth family or Andorian family interaction. Would not have to be long, maybe 5 episodes, even 3 episodes. Even new species. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all you need is one of your main characters to be one of those races and go visit home, or just you hear about what's going on back in there. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, even that for a Klingon. I know we've seen a lot more of them, but just the idea of
we're not all warriors,
I mean, let's go fight today. Sorry, kids, we're gonna go to the Klingon dentist today, but no, and then all the tools that are really brutal instruments. But dentist, it's fine. There's honor in battling the teeth. Teeth decay will fall to the power of my blade. Thanks, Doc. Thanks for getting rid of my tooth pain. Glory to you and your dental care. Writes itself.
Yeah, and how does a Klingon farmer get rid of gophers?
I mean, really big cannons. I'm guessing, just miniguns. Yeah. Honey, how many rats did you kill today? Well, I blew one up and 400 acres of our farm. But glory to you and your frozen dinner that you're cooking, wife. Damn you, wife! Cook better gach. Stop getting frozen gach from the store. It tastes like veal. Human veal. Pfft, unseasoned. Fresh gach. Would there be a gach? What would a gach farm look like? It's a big pool, I guess.
This be a whole field of wriggling.
it's just lots of trees. Yeah, lots of trees. It's just under the trees as worms. Yeah. There you go, a gach farmer.
Glory to you and your dental care. This needs to be a t-shirt. Yes.
I come with occasionally good phrases.
Grant McGregor, $5. Hey, there's plenty of Borg space to reclaim as long as you don't awaken the sleeping giant. So the Vaudois.
No, Badwar. The baddie.
I know, but
that's funny.
With new territory.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
All right. We're down to our top 3, so we're at a bronze placement right now.
And I take it these are relatively easy for you to come up with, because you said you had the 3, you had some that came to mind straight away. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so my bronze is bring back the Gorn.
That's true. We brought back the Gorn. You've seen Stranger Worlds.
They brought in Xenomorphs. I don't know what the fuck that was. It wasn't a Gorn. Bring back the Gorn. The large, lumbering, yet sentient and smart spacefarers that were actually a threat, not a terror. There's a difference. This is ripe to be revisited. They've done such a great job of filling in this canon in Starfleet battles where they're on the other side of Romulan space. They border Romulan space, and the Romulans and them go at it quite often. That's why the Gorn also have plasma weapons, which is also terrifying because plasma weapons are quite destructive. So yeah, bring back the actual Gorn. This might have been a bit of a cheat, but I don't care. This is how Gorn are in my history of Star Trek. That little blip that was Strange New Worlds episode is nothing. Sorry. I'm sorry. There needs to be an explanation for that ties those Gorn in with these Gorn in some way. So, yes, please bring these back. We've seen a few different versions of their ship. In TOS, it was just a small little dot that got fleshed out into the remastered version of the Gorn ship. But there's so many other Gorn ships, like I said, in Starfleet Battles and Starfleet Command games. It's a perfect species to bring back as a villain. Or just not necessarily a villain that's out after you, but an antagonist that's kind of a pain in the ass. So, yeah, the Gorn. It's simple, guys. That's a Gorn. I don't know what you did, but it's not a fucking Gorn.
I mean, let's be honest. As we've said many, many times, there have been far more Gorn, real Gorn in Trek than Strange Worlds Gorn. Many, many more appearances. As of, like, episode 7 of Lower Decks. That has been a real exactly, Gorn. Yeah. It's right up to modern day. I would love to see a Gorn crew member on Lower Decks for Prodigy. I mean, you can't get more symbolic to these are the real Gorn. Not a villain, dude on the bridge, full uniform. Yes, Captain Shields at 44%. Thanks, Gorn Jeff. That's but quicker next time.
Please wipe off your console again. Thank you so much. Spit everything.
I'll speak quicker for next time. Right. Yeah. Just.
I completely forgot that we got a Gorn marriage, so we have learned a bit about the Gorn. Lord,
monogamous single marriage and lovely loincloths. Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, Gorn crew member. Every time I can in my fan films, I include a Gorn as a positive reference. Because at this point, if there are space stations, they are our friends. The Gorn Kebab guy is the greatest testament to modern Star Trek everyone's ever known. We're fighting them in TOS as monsters to kill, and now they're selling us kebabs in Lower Decks. That's phenomenal.
That's true. That's also true. The kebab seller. Yeah, I forgot about him too.
Like
yeah, they're everywhere.
That's why I include them, because it's such an obvious they are now friends. I need them. You know, imagine. I mean, Prodigy. It writes itself. They bump into a Gorn ship. They think they're evil because they look menacing. Turns out they're absolutely wonderful, and they're a peace envoy to another race, and they have to help them. And you know, don't trust appearances, even though they're like dinosaurs with massive muscles.
Prodigy's been doing the don't trust appearances thing with Rock forever now. Don't be afraid of me because I'm big. She even said that in the last episode. So, yeah,
it really does write itself.
Yeah, you could have a whole episode with just Rock meeting a Gorn and being scared of him.
Yeah,
and the Gorn's like, you don't need to be scared of me.
Yep.
And it's a good teaching moment for kids. Boom, storyline. Boom, Gorn. Boom.
Yeah, and especially as you could obviously realisticify the Gorn suit. You know, remorph its muscle appearance. So keep the same idea, but streamline things so they can physically move, and you know, give it that baseline and give it obviously a more of an actual mouth, an actual eyes and blinking. Like easily take the basics, give it a real character rig. It really writes itself as such a good episode.
And they've been reimagined a few times, even in the 2009 Star Trek game. The Gorn were there. There was a little bit of a different look, but they definitely worked as a villain. And also in Amir Darkly, that's another take on the Gorn. Not as, popular amongst a lot of people, but there can be different Gorn styles from different parts of their planet.
Just not Lower Deck, just not Strange Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's no way that species would ever create space travel. I'm sorry. They kill each other until there's only one left in their litter. Like, there'd be so few Gorn. How do you have a ship full of Gorn serving with each other if there's got to be an alpha?
I guess that's why you never saw them, because there are like 37 Gorn.
Yeah. So you the Gorn. Bring the Gorn back. Simple. That is my bronze third place.
I think. Did I throw a picture in there for the Gorn?
No, you didn't. I didn't have one.
Okay. Because I was visualizing sentences as possible, but obviously the retort is, well, you just had them, so shut up, as in the audience would say that. It's like, no, but then it's not what they're meant to be.
But we've had so many others that we've just had, like Zinti on Lower Decks. Still brought the Kensington up. Like there's a
But
lot that have been.
but these being the
right?
actual villains of one of the modern Trek shows, like literally the main antagonist. So it's a different cut above.
Well,
But
the
yeah,
Breen would have fallen in that same category then. The Breen just came back too.
but that was a one-off, and we know they're gonna be a one-off.
Exactly.
Versus
So
they're
is
gonna
this
be.
Strange New World so far.
Yeah, but they're going to
Not
be
that
the
they're
main
gonna-
antagonist, though. We know they're going to be a huge threat versus just they pop in and out. I know what you mean, but they are going to be much
Do
bigger.
we know that? I don't know.
I mean, maybe they'll. Well, no, they can't even use fan reaction because they already filmed season 2. So, yes, I guess we do. I know, Stuart. They won't change. My number 3 is the shock twist, the Remans. Your reaction?
Good
Okay.
choice.
Oh, okay.
I never even considered it.
I thought you could say, them. The Remans are a weird one because they obviously retconned in, somewhat sledgehammer approach, retconned in. Let's invent these guys, make them hugely important, and then, they're gone again. Now, Enterprise brought back, but as background extras, but they entirely fundamentally changed the Romulan culture. And I think that's really interesting. Even if they're just the troops that we see, and especially, oh my god, fucking Picard just being crap at everything it does. Where the hell are the Remans in the Romulan evacuation? Not even one mention. They're literally the slave race that make all their shit on their dilithium moon around their dump. Like, the next neighbours, they're... Oh! What the hell happened to them? You know, are there Remans therefore the Free Reman Society? Are there the Reman Vengeance Group? Are there Remans now in the Senate? As creepy as they look, have they, you know, because they were originally Romulans, maybe the Remans that have made their way back into Romulan culture have gone for treatments to make it look more Romulan because they want to look more, less dying. And so it's kind of like hybrid Remans, like Klingons did their own, you know, whatever. Because they're only a few thousand years removed from Romulans. So you cut, you know, the Remans because they live on Remus, not because they're necessarily a full species, they're a subspecies, etc. So you could take a lot of direction with that. You know, I want to see a Reman ship with a Reman captain. Don't go full dark. Don't go whatever. Go interesting with it. Or maybe after, like I said, go in Picard. After the Roman evacuation, some Reman said, can we have asylum, please? And then one joined the academy. And now you've got a Reman who's, you know, had a tan. Shaved his teeth a bit, so he's a bit more, you know. I just think they're so important in theory that I'd like to see him back. I think we must have said in Strange New Worlds would have had lots of Remans like in the Romulan bit about Terra. That'd have been a nice retcon, you know, behind the Praetor lady, have 2 Remans in the background, would have been a nice touch. You know, and they can still do that if we see Romulans again. Obviously Lodex and Prodigy, ample feeding ground for these things. Just, you know, they are theoretically really important, and yet.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of potential there too with storytelling. The Romulans, or the ancient Vulcans that left Vulcan, went and colonized Romulus. The Remans were already there because it's this 2-planet system. There's Remus and Romulus. So that there was actually, the Remans were the natural inhabitants of the planet. The Vulcans came in, the evil Vulcans, the old and ancient Romulans, took over, and so kind of squashed them down a bit because they were more technologically advanced. It'd be cool if there was a civil war going on between the Remans and the Romulans that kind of distracted the Romulans from being a big baddie sort of Federation. Again, it kind of ties in with the whole Romulans were gone for so long, because in TNG we hadn't seen Romulans for like 80 years, and the reason for that was because they were actually focusing all their efforts along their other border to fight the Gorn, which they have a long history with, going back to like before TOS. So yeah, bring in the Remans as part of that, kind of like even teaming up with the Gorn would be cool. If the Gorn are still, you know, antagonistic towards the Romulans, that is. Yeah, there's a lot of storytelling potential there. Plus they have the telepathic abilities as well, which could easily tie in to create some interesting stories. So yes, bring in the Bat People, because that's exactly what they are.
Yes.
I like it. like it.
Not that I would necessarily want to see them in many more stories, but some. You know, some would be nice.
Matt says, I'm curious why the Remans are so much more alien looking than the Romulans. Like I said, they inhabited the Romulus homeworld before the Romulans showed up. The Romulans aren't from there. They're Vulcans.
Yeah, I just did a quick memory alpha search, and they say in canon they did not say which. They're either Romulans that went to Remus and got dark and then became this, or they're inhabitants crossbred with Remans and then Romans became this. So there's no official explanation apparently, but
yeah,
either way works. I mean, even if there were Remans 4,000 years ago, these are crossbreeds. That's why they have so many Romulan features. They're just their own unique thing now. Well, you know,
it makes sense because like the Vulcan schism or the Vulcan split, and they went off, found a planet. There's already these people here, but they were more technologically advanced, arriving. They conquered these people, and yes, started interbreeding with them, whatever. But they became like slaves. But they're the original inhabitants of the planet. I think that's a much more interesting story than these are just Romulans that went and lived in the caves and became bat-like. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I yes, but I still like the idea that this is what a destroyed culture looks like after 4,000 years, after being literally servituded for thousands of years in this closer proximity to dilithium. So this is a genetically damaged people of 4,000 years, and that's why they look down upon, because they are, you know, our dark sisters. That's why because that makes them truly sad. These were just Romulans, the worst of the worst, destroyed, and because you can imagine if they're getting just killed in like quicker than a Romulan, then the genetic life cycle is sped up. So if you only live 30 years in the mines, then generations are zipping by quicker than anywhere else. And so 4,000 years, you're having, you know, hundreds of generations plus the radiation. I mean, they're being, you know, so I both work. So I would assume the Romans would pick a non-inhabited star system, just fresh start, or you could say slave race, but the Romans weren't necessarily slave racy people. So again, both ways you could take it. Let's see them again so they can tell us. Make up, you know, tell us what you're intending.
Although any story ideas we come up with will be much better than what they do. So
yeah, cool. Okay, but yeah, just a sort of curveball there, just because they're so important. Number 2, Stuart, your bronze medal. No, your silver medal. I got medals wrong. Silver medal, Stuart.
A silver medal. My second place slot goes to the Voth. You know, dinosaurs from Earth, but not. And the distant origin. I forget who mentioned it earlier. Grant McGregor, his idea about a holy war to censor revelations that the ancient origin theory is actually true. I love it. They're very powerful. Lost city ships are something to behold. I was surprised they weren't in Voyager more, honestly, after that episode, because pretty, you know, pretty scary species as far as technologically advanced. And just the fact that there's that link with Earth, I think makes it doubly interesting. So, yeah, bring back the Voth. There's so much storytelling potential there. We learned a lot about them in the episode, but there's still so much more to figure out. And again, they're a force to be reckoned with their weapons and their ships. So, yes, dinosaurs. Simple.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of like the first Federation in terms of oomph power.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's obviously why they weren't brought back, because you're going to lose. They're going to win. But one of the very few times when we actually had an entirely separate set of scenes before we even got to Voyager. Full commitment to the bit, because it's actually about the Voth. That's what the story's about. And their legacy with Earth. Yeah, really, really, really interesting. You know, and how do they survive the Borg? How many ships do they have? You know, do they have other planets? They can obviously get to the Alpha Quadrant in a few minutes. Well, you know, a few hours, whatever. Maybe they're in the Alpha Quadrant. Maybe they've colonized other planets we don't know about. Maybe they've got cloaks that mean their planets are invisible. You know, They're so powerful
Mm-hmm.
that you could kind of extrapolate many other things for them. And I can imagine, episode of Picard, whatever, when the Voth just decloaks next to you. It's like, okay, we're changing our episode storyline. Okay, it's now about the Voth and these, guys come in. Yeah, lots of untapped potential, but also so much risk. Because they're like some of the big bads. You don't want to defang them. They're religious zealots, so you don't want to religious zealot them. But also the main guy's so nice. He's so chill, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the religious aspects of their culture is quite interesting. It'd be cool to see the turn, the science versus religion, where they actually start a civil war amongst themselves as well. And they seek out the Federation, the scientific part. They seek out the Federation to aid them. That'd be actually quite interesting. So it always happens. Science will eventually overthrow religion, as far as history has shown. So.
But you say that, but they're so scientifically minded. How have they got this far? 2,000 years more powerful than us, because that's literally yeah, crazy stuff.
Patrick James, member for 23 months, almost 2 years at the rank of captain. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you.
It says Voth for the win. Well, almost the win. This is my silver. This is my second place. So
it is. Nice. Nice.
How about you? What is your silver second place?
My number silver. Also the Voth.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. We had a similar, because potential is the main word here. What you could do with them, and that's but they did so much in their first appearance. All the mysteries have already sort of been answered, so it's kind of how do you evolve that concept. But even just bringing the doctor back, the scientist guy back, or like you say, and the fact is, if you go full on, they could be literally the big bad of Discovery season 6.
Oh yeah,
like nothing to change. That would Voth have come to play. They didn't have warp reactors. They survived the burn. They got 5 city ships and there's 1 each quadrant, and they're like, we decided to come home, and we don't think you should live here. What? So we're just gonna this is our planet, because actually is
we were here first.
We were here first, and so they start like beaming entities into their replicator to become like food later on, and so that's how they don't kill. They they use the matter, and they just take up 8 billion people on Earth. And it's like, worse than the Borg in that sense, because then they're food. Maybe not Earth, a secondary planet, and they've decided to we're just going to recycle every planetary system in the Alpha Quadrant of humans, because
this idea,
and that's oh shit, and you can't stop them for obvious reasons. You can't talk to them because they're right in the abstract of it's their planet. Michael Burnham can save the day. See? It all connects to you. Michael Burnham. She will win.
Well, yeah, it could be as simple as, the scientists finally won, because 900 years later, they convinced, and scientifically it's proven that Earth is their origin.
And therefore, let's go take over. So actually,
I love it.
The religious people were better because they didn't want to be linked to Earth. The scientists want Earth. And then you have the religious zealots. So they have the scientist zealots who believe so fervently in the power of their past. God.
They want their homeworld back. That's great.
And they start deforming it. So you see a scene where they, in the planet as they beam the matter away to bring the replicas. It just returns to big, giant, prehistoric forests. And they just reconvert the planet back to 10,000 BC state. And it's like, shit.
Oh, a couple million BC, but yeah.
Yeah. And but they solve global warming on every planet because there's trees again. God, I mean, it would almost be an exact mirror to Neutral Zone. TNG, where they talk about the planets being ripped up, the colonies. Yeah. But now it's like, what have they replaced with? Forests. Huh? Yep, just prehistoric forests, and there's already new life sprouting out from the waters, and they're being, and even you could go as far as like they've combined the matter so that life evolves to become Voth life, and they've been artificially accelerated, because they've worked on Genesis planet tech, so they're basically Genesis planting. Oh my god, the Genesis planting. And so, like, you cut, like, 6 months later, and they've got 12 planets of Voth, all of which are now, like, fully clothed, like, working away, and they say, oh, about a year, they'll be spacefaring. It's like, wow, this escalated. Now we've got 12 planets of Voth, destroyed societies. Shit. There you go, Stuart. Discovery Season 6.
Perfect. Michael Burnham would find a solution.
She would. The only one that can.
Yes. Patrick James throws in $10.
Thank you.
Whatever happened to the androids in the One Harry Mudd episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, the planet of androids. Yeah, it's good storytelling potential there as well.
They really should have lip serviced them in Picard. You know, how did the Sungs create their new last gen androids? They found those guys. Easy. Now, guys, put in the chat right now, what do you think mine and Stuart's number one is going to be? We've had a rather wide breadth of choices, so it'd be hard to work out what our number one is each. So guess right now, and if you're right, congrats. The poll as currently stands is an interesting question. We asked, who would you rather see more of? The Thalians, species 8472, the Breen, or the Voth? We have seen all four of those in my list. None in your lists. So sorry, but I thought there were four big choices race-wise. I didn't even think about it. I was just doing four big choices, but there you go. Vote now. And what do you think our number one is going to be? And Stuart, 30 more bucks to hit a good number. 30
more bucks would be awesome. What do you think my number one's going to be?
Oh, God.
I thought yours might be the Voth. Gotta try to think what yours number one is now. That would be the Voth or the Breen. But you've already covered the...
I feel like you're going to be an annoyingly even more rare TOS one, just to be funny. You know, something, because I almost put it on my list, but the because I think you'd find the symmetry of saying the Telosians, like what TNG Telosians would be. You want to see a follow up to that, like the first aliens coming back. I could see that being a Stuart choice.
I considered them on there, but
and we had just seen them in Stranger Worlds, but you would not accept that as a we've seen them, so you would want to see them again. So that was a consideration. That's another TOS race.
I'm just trying to think what yours is, like the Rojan or the Jem'Hadar. Those are my two guesses.
I'm trying to think of TOS that you'd zone into. Oh, funny if you went TOS Klingons as well. Just to, I middle fingered at like number 8. You could, or no, like the honorable mention 2. You could
honorable mention.
Yeah, you can middle finger right into this, Stuart. Who's to say, guys? Vote now. What do you think? Actually, Harold, the original Borg. We can always do the Vija people. Would that be a race you'd want to see?
Sebastian's like, hurry up, you need to go to bed. I'm willing to drop my number one on you at any time, so I'll just wait for Samuel.
Give it another minute. Vote now, guys. See if you can pick it out.
Evidians aren't interesting. Sorry, guys. I've had the phage cured. The aliens who say me. The builders, huh? Whales from Voyage Home. Yeah. All right. Well, some interesting ideas in there. I'm glad that we matched up on one of these anyway. In the Voth, so.
And it's sad because like something like the Iconians would be really great, but we don't know anything about them physically to then generate the interest of seeing them. Because I brought this up in my last live. Everybody's like, it should be the Iconians. The Iconians should come back. It'll be the Iconians. You know how many times I've heard that over the past 8 years? I don't care about the Iconians. Sorry. They're so... Because I don't want the Stow ones. I do not want them. No offense. They're too alien. They're too weird. They're too
The
good.
Duff alien.
Stuart, what is your number one? Take us out of our...
Grant McGregor.
Oh, okay.
That's my name. $5. You want something to match a spore drive? Coaxial transwarp. Voth replicated the Delta Quadrant coaxial tests with hundreds of years to perfect it. Perfect. Love that. Grant, we're going to get you helping us on story ideas. All right, so my number one, my gold place winner, one I've always wanted to learn more about, is the Thalians.
Well, I was half right, Stuart.
Yeah, you were.
It was a TOS alien.
We've had a lot of Thalians over sprinkled throughout, but we never learned anything new about them. They're just a threat. And, you know, when I researched that episode of our 100th episode on the Thalians, we learned quite a bit of interesting stuff. Plus, like I said, playing Starfleet battles, learning all of their technology, the different web designs, the different, not web designs like internet web.
Yeah, HTML or Chrome. Or
yeah, but like they're spherical webs, and there are all these different kinds of webs that they have that can form if it actually goes in and crush a ship and stuff like that. There's a lot to learn there. And then the warrior caste, there's other castes as well that have different crystalline structures. Again, I would love to see how their society is structured. I want to see their planet. The fact they're crystalline and so alien is also appealing to me. So, and the fact you can't really board their ships very easily. Yeah, there's so much potential with the Tholians, and they have been a threat. There was kind of when Tholians are mentioned, no matter when it's mentioned, it's like, oh shit, Tholians. We know they like to be punctual. They like their meetings on time. We know that they're quite picky. We know they also like take strange technologies and want to focus on them, like the interspatial thing in Tholian Web, which translated into pulling the Defiant through to a mirror universe. Like they're dangerous, and I want to explore that. I think the Tholians need more time. They really do. They need to be a big bad at some point. Even them showing up in Discovery, 900-year advanced Tholians, I think would be quite an interesting premise. So, yeah, Tholians win my... It was the first thing that I wanted to put as number one because I think they're quite intriguing. I just want to learn more about them. So,
it's such an easy win race for interest's sake. Alien crystalline spiders. It sells itself.
I live in 400-degree.
Yeah. Although they actually are very 8472E when you think about the simplicity of small ships, sort of not organic, but they single occupant, single craft. You're not going to get into it, etc. There's definitely quite a lot of parallels there. Oh, imagine them working together. The two sort of multi-legged creatures. Ooh. One organic, one crystalline, and you have a... Oh, yeah. Nice.
Murlaw says they probably stick to their own territory. They do, but they don't notify people
what is their territory.
Their territory is. So there's a lot of encounters.
Yeah.
Go back and watch our 100th episode on the Tholian species. It's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, it's kind of anomalous as to what their territory is.
Okay, so my number 8, your number 1.
Yep.
All right. My number 1 though is the Herodrian, yes.
Okay.
Because
my honorable mention.
Indeed, I was glad to hear that. Because they are more interesting Kazon, and they're more cool Klingons. Give or take. Yes, of course, diversified from the pure let's go hunt vibe, of course. But really great makeup, really great costume, really great guns. I know that the actors like wore big platform shoes. They were really big and imposing, and their armor is giant. Their ships are vicious. Every time they appeared, for the most part, they worked well. The fact that they learned holograph technology really quickly and made sentient holograms in like 6 months. Okay,
Mhm.
that's how you. Yeah, cool. We have seen them in Picard. That one that you barely saw and then got killed. He was there. Exactly. Yep. He was there. You could see him. You could tell it was a Herodian and then he got killed. So great. Cool. Thanks. And Star Trek Online has included them in the Alpha Quadrant because they, new hunting grounds. Their ship's pretty fast. I could buy it. So that I like. I would appreciate seeing them appear in the Alpha Quadrant. They have unique social structures, unique whatevers. See bigger ships. See, them be. Just like Klingons, the original baseline for Klingon was relatively thin, and they diversified out of that. Well, I would like to see the same thing for the Herodian. Their baseline is so interesting and strong to me. How do you diversify that radically? And just, the full look. All their tech combined. And, you then throw them as a versus. These guys versus Klingons. Klingons, these big, beefy guys. Herodian, 1 foot taller, 1 foot broader. Their guns, 8 foot bigger somehow. Little Klingon disruptors. Just like that matchup of vibe would sell itself. You have an episode where, Boimler's going on a stag do for someone else, and he's gone to a hunting planet, and there's like these hunting races, and the Herodian's like 9'8", and the Klingon guy feels really tiny, so he like builds a bigger bat'leth because he feels pathetic. He's like a giant bat'leth, and it's annoying, and he barely wields it, and it's a like there are things you could do with them in low decks content, but I like them. I'd like to see more of them because they're the most interesting, but I'd like to see a Herodian subplot in another show very much, personally. Yeah.
I mean, Boimler's already been hunted by Cranch.
Yes, I thought that when I was saying that.
Cranch was pretty cool, so yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of potential with them. I just feel like they've been not overplayed, but we've learned a lot about them in Voyager. But yeah, for them to come back would be, I think, a great idea. Their makeup is fantastic. Like the overall look of them is great. And they're just dangerous. Just for the sake of being dangerous.
Because this wasn't a list of things we've learned, traces we know nothing about. Meaningfully in TOS Klingons. Like, there's Klingons, but that's those breed of Klingons I'd like to know more of. Mm-hmm. And Nia says, yes, did the Herodian evolve on the Prodigy planet? That's true, we did find the homeworld. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd show them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I like it.
And of course, Stuart, your list is almost entirely TOS. If you include the movies, they're all TOS movies, and animated except one, I believe, the Binars, which is the closest to TNG, season 1 of closest to TOS, season 1 of TNG. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 from Voyager. I have 1 from TNG, 1 from DS9, 2. Yeah, so I have mostly Voyager, but those had a lot of really good aliens. Like they diversified out the wazoo. So,
for the record,
yeah,
I've got 2 TNG and 1 Voyager. So,
what's the other TNG one?
The Schism's alien and the Binars.
Schism, yes.
Yeah. But the rest are TOS. So, yep. Not a surprise to many people, I'm sure. 78 likes. Let's get 2 more likes, get up to 80. And honestly, the $20 would be fantastic.
We're right there.
We've heard our top 10 aliens. This should just be a good general discussion live at some point, where we just talk about the potential for different aliens coming back. But
that's where you guys could throw us a new alien and we can discuss it. Fertile ground for that sort of ability.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fun discussion. You brought up some good stuff in the chat, so. It was fun to just kind of hang and interact. And a lot of people have said this has been a fun live.
Yeah.
Donnie even said he was really enjoying it. So. No, Donnie hates everything. Gives everything a 0 out of 10. So.
Yeah, it's a weird character flaw, I think, in his personality. That everything is so low. But while I'm here, Stuart, I will of course pimp out. I did do an Indiegogo update today. You guys have seen them, but I will remind you both. Remind people in the chat because it's nice to have a graphic of a graphic. Just to remind you both, 2 of the new perks I have introduced on the Indiegogo are the Titan crewman perk, which were kind of made for the Trekyards audience. So if you want to support my Trek shorts making films, I've released 6 this year with another one coming out this week. There's a lot of damn films, more than most fan filmmakers making their career. Oops. And Stuart's first appearance, very soon coming along. Every time the Titan appears, you'll be in the official credits as a Titan crew member, which is really cool because people like the Titan. Or if you want to name a character, say you're a Star Trek Online player and you've had this name of a character for 10 years. Do you want to hear it in a Star Trek film? Maybe you do. Donate to support more Trek fan films and hear them included. And I've said before that if only a couple of people get this perk, I will put those names in more than once because it's fun to. 10 it's kind of harder to, because like 3 people, they might pop up in TNG and Voyager and DS9 era. Who knows? Any other perks are welcome, but these are the new ones. We've still got a long way to go. But certainly, literally every £20 mounts up really quickly. You guys know for Super Chats how important that is. And this is, otherwise. So, this week we are also bringing in Emma Thorne, who is our newest cast member. She's been joining us on Thursday for our Trek Shorts Trekyards Live, discussing her 2 films and fan filming and teasing her other appearances, etc. So if you want to see her live with us, which you do, join us for our normal time then on Thursday. That'll be your first time meeting Emma as well, who you're in her film. So, yay.
Patrick James, $5. 1/4 of 20. A quarter of 20. 3/4. What more Trekkies? What? I'm confused.
There's the link in the chat, guys.
Go visit his Indiegogo. It's worth it.
Yes.
Trust me. Thanks. We hit our 80 likes. Another $15 super chat goal would be great. But let's close out this poll while we're waiting for that. Who would you like to see more of? The Thalians win at 32%. Who's my number one? The second place is 28%, the Voth, which is my second place. So everybody agrees with me. Third place is Species 8472 at 21%. And the Breen coming at 19%. So interesting poll results. Patrick James throws in $5. How would a Hirogen hunt a Tholian? With a freeze gun.
Freeze gun's good. Freeze gun is good.
Or
I'm sure. I think
his
honestly, I think his gun has both freeze ability and harmonic ability. I could see a gun having lots of things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. A vibrating bullet.
Oh yeah. Or even has like a little add-on you attach to the top and it like sends out a pulse wave that just stays pulsing and his armor protects him and it hurts things. Because I mean, sonic weapons by themselves are very useful. So why not have that and just modulate to a Tholian? Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, sad to see him get hurt, but it'd be cool.
Well, guys, we're at the end here, so I'd like to thank everybody that showed up. Hopefully you enjoyed this discussion. Seems you have. We have a very large crowd today. Well, we got our higher end of our normal live.
Yes.
Amount of people. So,
yes.
And you guys really took part, and you've made it. We hit our super chat goal easily. So, thank you to everybody involved, and hopefully you enjoyed this discussion. We will be doing more lives this week. So make sure you're subscribed and all that jazz.
And of course, Prodigy, the 2-parter. That'll be exciting with Ronman's back. So that'll be a fun one. And we're going to do another full Trekyards Drunkyards live at the very start of December, where we're going to get not teetotal, it's the opposite, get hammered. And also, I can report that Marie has agreed to join us as well for Drunkyards sometime soonish. She's even agreed, just about, for a large super chat to get in costume as well. So if you want to see Nervous McNervous and Marie, my other half, be in some sort of costume, that's an achievement.
Is there an option for an even larger super chat to get her out of clothes?
It'd be a very large super chat. I don't know if anyone could afford it.
Probably not render her unconscious.
Elon Musk might have to pop in, or Bezos. He's a $3.7 million super. YouTube's algorithm seeing a $3 million super chat. It's like, Well, what happened to this channel? Why is a multi-millionaire? Oh, imagine the fee of that. YouTube gets like $1 million of super chat money. God damn. Freaking hell. Sorry. Tangent. But if you want to give us a $3.7 million super chat, do it. Make it so.
I would like to test to see how much.
Yes, we want to test. So put in $4,000 or $5,000 right now. Let's test how high you can go. Okay. What's the highest number? Oh, actually, there is a limit. Actually. Oh, there is a limit, Stuart. You can't do 10,000. You can only do 9,999. Doesn't let you do a fifth number. Well, guys, if you want to donate a super chat, £9,999. Now, obviously, it's in your currency. So, become a VPN to England because the pound's worth more than the dollar. Then you can put in £9,999, which will then equate more in dollars. But in dollars, it'll be worth less in pounds. Although if you're Russian, I know you can put in like 50,000 rubles. That's a bit different. That's why Eugene managed to get in like 50p. Wonder where he's been.
I don't know. He's been gone. Hope he's okay.
Hope he's okay.
Anyway,
sorry. Hi.
We're going to close this down. So thank you so much for watching, and tune in next time. We got more cool stuff. So we like to talk about cool stuff.
Yes.
That's what we do. So until then, he's Commander Calkins.
He is Captain Foley.
See you guys soon.
Bye, guys.